or this video, we're going to show how to do or how to work in the database and how to add a spectrum. So I've already loaded up a spectrum. It's called Zorite, and it's a mix between Zorite and corundum, and I'll add that information to the database as well. So the first thing we do is import, and then so on. So before I add it to the database, I'm probably going to want to do some background subtraction first, and then save that file so that we can then import in the database. It's important to do that step because everything in the database from the rough database has been background subtracted, and so we don't want to add a spectrum with a lot of background to it to the database. So right now, I'm just going to say, hey, let's take a look at some background options and see what we get. So there's the conservative, there's the moderate. That's pretty good, although it takes a bit out the bottom. Aggressive is probably going to be crazy. Yep. Ultra smooth, way too smooth maybe. Then balanced, it cuts off a little bit background. Fast. What's the difference between fast and moderate? Not much. I'll just go with that. And you can do it manually up here. And there's other background methods. The auto generate is always going to do the asymmetrically squares method. And you can do spline as well, whatever that you want to do. I'm just going to go ahead with this. So apply selected. All right, happy with that background subtraction, but I need to save this. And to do that, we're going to save current spectrum from the file dropdown. I'm going to call it, save it to the desktop, call it Zorite. I don't know, Zorite 01. Because I don't know what else to call it. You can always delete it from the database at the end. Now we have our new file. Let's go to the database tab. There are two different databases. There's one for the measured Raman spectra, and then we'll get to the second one later on for the calculated Raman spectra. So I'm just going to click on the View Edit Raman Spectra, and this is the new window that pops up. And there's a lot going on, but I'll step you through it. We can search for spectra in the top left. You know, it auto-populates, so if you only know the first three letters, you don't know how to spell it, that's okay. We will do it together. And you notice the first thing when I click on the Zorite, it populates the spectrum down here, but then there's all these green dots, and these are the stored peaks in the database. So when I first compiled the database, I wanted to at least put some peak positions in there, but I had to do it quickly because there's lots of spectra, and they're not all perfect. And also, you don't really use this for the correlation-based matching anyway. This is for future applications. But it's not very good. So what I'm going to do now is that I am going to find some new peaks for this, but for the 532 one. So I'm going to just say find peaks. And then that's the red dots are my found peaks, and that's too much. Let's make them so that the peaks have to be a bit more prominent. Find peaks, that's better. Still a little bit, not great. Maybe a little bit more prominence. Yeah. All right, so we're getting the majority of the peaks. Yeah, there's some side ones there that we can probably add later, but for good, this is better than what it was before. So I'm gonna just say commit these, and it gives you a warning. This is undoable. Are you sure you want to do it? Yes, I definitely want to do it. And so now it's telling me that all these new peaks are now stored in the database, and you can do that for all the ones that you're interested in. All right. You can view the metadata here. Just click on metadata. This is a lot of the stuff that's either scraped from or downloaded directly from the rough database, but there's other things that I put in, like chemistry elements that I determined from the chemical formula. There's the idealized chemical formula. Note the idealized chemical formula has subscripts has subscripts that are donated by underscore between underscores, and then those are going to be all subscripts. Superscripts will be with the carets. Location, source, description, everything that you need. There's the Hey classification group ID. There's also this Hey Celestian one where I am going to be building this up in the future, but I wanted to have a framework in the database to begin with. And so there's, framework elements. This is a titanium silicate, and the framework elements that are present in the framework elements that are present is just silicon, but it needs to be titanium, obviously. So this is still a work in progress. You can also edit the metadata. So if you're not happy with how it works, you can change the middle name, you can change the description, you can change the wavelength, all of this stuff you can add. It's fairly detailed and quite nice. The only thing I don't have is upload a photo, and you can also add your own fields as well down here at the bottom if you don't like my fields, but I'm just gonna leave it like that. You can also load the file directly into the main app. So if you want to do some peak fitting or something like that of this, you can load it directly into the main app and then start doing peak fitting from there. There's the Hey index. This is where you can assign, if you select one like acrylic, doesn't have a Hey index because it doesn't belong to the Hey classification system. But if you come down to like albite or something and you don't like its Hey index, then you can change it here. And then you just select the one you want and you're done. Hey classification, this is where you can do bulk changes to the database. Or you can just find specific ones like all the albites, so you don't have to do one at a time. And you can do batch processing. So you can just start doing the batch processing, override existing classifications. This may be helpful when you bring in a brand new database, maybe your own. You don't want to go single classification. You just want to do them all at the same time. Again, you're still using the algorithm that I've programmed here, which is not perfect, but it'll get you started for the vast majority of the spectra that you bring in. Classification viewer, these are the ones where I don't have Hey classifications on them, which is weird because they should have all been classified, but maybe I didn't classify them for this example. And then there's the Hey selection ones, which again, it's a work in progress. You can also add a spectrum. So this is where we want to add the spectrum that we just measured. So I'm gonna browse for it. It's on my desktop. Zorite_1, open. We can preview the spectrum. Here it is. Doesn't show you the spectrum because hopefully it's what you've already seen over here. Middle name, we'll just call this Zorite. Description is synthetic. I made it synthetic with corundum impurities. Classific chemical formula, this is where you type in the chemical formula. Hey classification, this is where you would add the Hey classification. Crystal system, space group, locality, museum catalog, so on and so on and so on. All this would be stored with the spectrum as you go. But you don't need to. You just need to add a spectrum and a mineral name. That's it to get started. So we'll just add that to the database. All right, spectrum Zorite 01 added to the database. Now say you have some buddies and they are building up their own database. And so you want to know like how can I bring in their database or somebody else's database into this one? And you can do that with this import. You can export yours to share with your friends or you share with your colleagues. You can filter by group, and these are big filters so that you're just getting whatever that you want. You can filter by value. This is still a work in progress. Preview filters, you can, this is for me for debug metadata, export filtered. And you can also import databases as well. And you can, if somebody's database has a bunch of Renishaw files, Renishaw binaries, or Horiba binaries, or whatever the manufacturer is, you can skip those and just say, just give me the text files or just give me the files that the program will accept. And then you can start batch processing and so on. So I'm not going to do that, but it's there for your option. And that is about it for working with the database.